Hey guys, and welcome to Week 5 Assignment 4 Video Critiques. This time around we're going to be talking about your assignments where you used compositing creatively and you made an image inspired by, in the style of, what have you, of one of these artists. Or just, I guess these last two were, they're more like concepts or sort of schools of imagery rather than specific people. But the idea is that you make a surrealistic looking, stylized Photoshop composite image. This time around we're going to be looking at Crystal's work, we're going to be looking at Jared's work, we're going to be looking at Melissa's work, and we're going to be looking at Cassie's work. And if you included sort of the artist who inspired you, we'll talk about whether or not your image feels like it's in their style, or maybe it feels like it's kind of your style mixed with their style, or maybe you just went kind of Photoshop surrealistic and didn't specifically model it after one of these people, but hopefully you at least looked at a few of them to get some ideas of what is out there. So let's start with Crystal's work here. That's kind of funny. Part of the fun of this for me is just to sort of look at like what the different pieces are, and then see how you put them together. I don't know. It seems like that's something that was like on an old TV game show or something. Not exactly this, but kind of like where you show pieces of something and zooms out and you see the whole thing. I don't know. So I have a girl's face, a cute girl's face. We've got some hands here, and some pictures of dramatic-looking clouds. Alright, let's get a little more interesting here. I do like some of your dramatic clouds, by the way, Crystal. Very nicely done. Alright, now I'm curious to see how do all these things fit together. Let me go. Oops. Sorry. Gonna zoom out here so we can get sort of a overall. Alright, I'm liking it so far. It's kind of like a crystal ball world that we're looking into here. And then, alright, she included the layers. 68 layers, that's a pretty good, that is a lot of layers. Wow, that's a lot of layers. I mean, I put a lot of layers in mine, but 68, 69 layers is a lot of layers. Anyway. Oops. I feel like we kind of zoomed past it there. Alright, very cool. We're getting the hands going. We're getting the fish inside the cool globe. Alright, and then... Alright, showing us some layer masks. And yeah, I mean, they look like pretty good layer masks too here. I don't want to zoom in too much here because it's going to get pretty pixelated, but you can see that she really did some good masking there. And... that is weird and surreal, and it reminds me of certain artists' work. I like this. Excuse me. Let me just read this myself right here. This is very cool. Very cool. I like, excuse me, that the center of the eye looks at once like it's in the eye, but then it also looks like it's in front of the eye. It's almost like a little bit of a, oh shoot, what's that guy's name? This is a little surreal stuff. I can't believe I'm spacing it. I'm pretty tired right now. Anyway, the guy plays with dimensions here. Yeah, no, I thought that turned out really cool. So thoughts, very cool, very surreal. I like how your image, how you're sort of playing with what's in front of what. Like this looks like it's behind the eyelash, behind the eyelid. At the same time, it looks like it's in front of the hands. The only thing I would say as a criticism is maybe I might not have shot these in front of a black backdrop. I know it does make it easier to isolate the hands as an element, but usually with hands you don't have them. You usually sort of have, like on the edge here, it's kind of picking up some of the skin tone. Usually you're getting some of the black from that black backdrop that would otherwise be, if this was really in front of here, it would be more of like a skin tone. That's a thing. Pretty minor, but like a thing. And the other would be maybe just the cutout's a little bit rough. For this kind of thing, what you would do is go in and you would, as you're selecting the hands, you can go up to, in Photoshop, to there's up on the top menu, there's select, and it'll drop down to modify. So you go select, modify, and then a little flyout menu comes out that has different options for it. And I would feather it a little bit. Just kind of gives it a slightly more natural look. Just the edge of this is a little bit hard. But I feel like that's all pretty advanced critique. I think, Crystal, you deserve a little more advanced critique because your results are more advanced. So yeah, right? Because you did such a good job on this, I'm sort of critiquing you a little more thoroughly than if you just kind of done an average job, and then I would just give you kind of an average critique. So, so yeah, I don't want you to think like that's a negative thing at all. You can a more thorough critique because you did a more thorough job. But that's really good. For whatever reason, I guess I didn't pull up your... I feel like you had your source image here, and it was a really... it was similar to this. I feel like you kind of put your own spin on it, and yeah, I thought that turned out really great. So very nice work, Crystal. Alright, real quickly here, before we actually move on to Jared's, I just wanted to pop this up. This is... the Crystal's sort of inspiration for her image. We have one by this person who I don't know. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce their name because it looks like a tough one. See, I almost did, and I'm not going to. Okay. And down here is Jerry Yulesman, who I actually met years ago at a photography conference, photography educators conference. And you can definitely see the inspiration, sort of the elements from both of these that she used in her image, and yeah, I think it kind of sort of, you can see the elements from both, and then you can see kind of her own spin that she put on it. So nice work, Crystal. Let's go ahead and, oops, we had to scroll this back up before I was looking at it earlier. Okay, so we have Jared's work here. So it's like mountains and a lake, like a medieval. Some medieval looking kind of doorways here, sunset over the ocean, waterfall of mouth. Now what could all of these elements add up to? I'm saying this like I don't already know, like I haven't previously looked at it. Well, let's see what it adds up to. Oh. Zoom this out a little bit here, a little bit more, sorry. Alright. And that's a weird effect. I like that though. I was kind of unsure like where all these elements were going to come together, but you have, yeah, the mouth, and inside the sort of medieval looking gate, and inside that the waterfall. Nice. Okay, good. And then let's go one more click and just see. Alright, so here's this version with the layers. Looking pretty good. And you can see, I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit here so we can take a look at it with the layers and just look at sort of what he did. So okay, oh. We have a black and white layer. Good, absolutely. Sometimes with this, I'll instead of doing black and white this way, I'll actually use the channel mixer up here. It has a monochrome setting on it, and then you can kind of play with the channels and sort of get a different kind of like filter look. And sorry, I'm digressing a little bit here. So okay, so we have the mouth, we have the layer mask there, and then the I keep on saying portal, but it's like a gate, the layer mask there, and then the waterfall image in the background. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. If I was going to, as with Crystal earlier, give you a little bit more of an advanced critique, the only thing I'd really say is maybe to lighten the face part up just a tad and pop it a little bit more with contrast. But other than that, I mean, I think that I love your layering and sort of the sense of depth. I feel like this feels like a well thought out image. And yeah, it also kind of feels, it has like the feeling of what a lot of these kind of photo surrealist guys did, like 30s, 40s, 50s, where they were kind of actually doing these techniques in the darkroom. It feels a lot like that. And I'm not just saying that because of the black and white, just something about the way these elements blend together. And to me, that's great. I mean, I actually really like those images, so I feel like this is a pretty big success, Jared. I think that this is really a pretty good image here. Yeah. All right, so far you guys are knocking it out of the park. And I think, I feel like this is, like, all the layers are really well put together. Like, they feel like they're well composited. And there's just kind of a nice sort of regression back into space, I guess, maybe. It's like the kind of mouth serves as like a portal through which you enter these successive worlds that everything seems to fit together, and yet, as we saw from the images before, this waterfall is not outside this gate, nor would it necessarily make sense if you thought about it, and yet visually and on like a sort of subconscious level it makes sense. It feels like a dream. So yeah, sorry, digressing there a little bit, but very nice work, Jared. I thought that turned out great. Up next we have Melissa's? Yes, Melissa. Alright. And I'm just going to go ahead and zoom down and get into the thing here. Now, Melissa, you talked a little bit, maybe, I can't remember if you said it in here, or I think it was maybe when you posted it about you weren't sure what the internet search was. It was just to look at that list of artists that we talked about before. Alright, so we got the chair, and you were talking too about you were going to originally have your son doing something else, like I'm imagining catching a football here, because it kind of looks like that's the thing. And then you sort of changed your mind, and you went with the football. The football too, it can be kind of tough to sort of inner things. She was talking a little bit about how it can be kind of difficult to composite it and get the angles right and everything. So got a little sort of a peek into her image and like what the masks are. I'm actually gonna zoom out on this a little bit more too. So yeah, you can see the background kind of copy, and then the sort of layer mask around the pasted in football part. Absolutely, I thought that looked great. It definitely, I gotta say, it looks pretty realistic. It's definitely a seamless sort of thing with the footballs. I feel like, so I can go out more clicks so we can see this even a little bit more. I mean, the football is it definitely feels like he could be holding those footballs. So definitely top marks for making it look realistic. And she talked too about manipulating it to sort of make it look, to get the angle right on the balls, like he was really actually holding it. And that definitely is successful. I'm sorry. There we go. I just wanted to be able to see the whole thing on the screen at once. Yep, I definitely believe it. I feel like if I was going to make a criticism a criticism of this image, I would say maybe more of them. Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's definitely seamless. It's definitely looks like, I mean, it looks like he could really be holding the footballs there. I kind of want, I don't know, I almost feel like he looks like he's ready to juggle these footballs. I don't know. I guess I'm trying to sort of put more of that surrealistic thing on it, like if they were somehow like too big or too small, or there were just like a lot of them. In terms of the photograph, I plug in my computer. In terms of the image itself, it is definitely really well shot, really well exposed. I think this really works well as a portrait. You know, sort of nice tonal stuff going on here. Really well composed, really well lit. Everything about it just says, you know, like really nice portrait. I just feel like so as a photograph, definitely a success. As surreal, it's not super surreal. That's where I was kind of talking about, you know, having more of the, you know, more footballs, different size footballs, something like that. I don't know. So yeah, but definitely some of your best, I think, photographic work I've seen from you. You definitely have nailed down the studio portion of this. It really looks great here. Alright, and last but certainly not least, merely last because she is the fourth one of the group, fourth one to turn hers in, is Cassie's work. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and zoom back in on this. So we got, again, some different stuff here. Some sort of I'm not entirely sure what this is. Some little patterny, kind of looks like fabric. Some beach stuff. Some kids' eye, mouths. Whoa! Sort of, again, I'm pretending like I don't know what's happening, like I haven't already seen these, but very bizarre. Talk about surreal. To me, this looks, I'm seeing a lot of Salvador Dali, and having read Cassie's written portion of the assignment, I know that was an inspiration for her. And yeah, I'm seeing, so we have the different elements here, sort of this guy. And we have the eyeball on this layer. It's fun because you can see like exactly what's coming from which layer, because it's put on there. Alright, so you combine it all together, and then on this kind of sandy background. And alright, I'm going to go ahead and actually zoom out here just a hair so we can look at the whole thing at once. Alright, so definitely bizarre. So I'm going to go out one more click again because I want to be able to see, but there we go. I like to be able to see the whole image, and then if I want to zoom in on something, zoom in on. So I would say, in terms of concept, very high marks, just because this is very surreal. It's like an eye inside of a mouth, and bizarre. In terms of compositing, it's not bad. Like, I believe to a pretty big extent that these guys could be here. I don't know about this. Like, it's a little bit of it's kind of feathered out. It could be maybe just a little bit more defined. Or it could, I feel like you kind of need to go one way or the other. It needs to be like a little bit more of this edge to make them kind of look glowy and again surreal, or a little bit less to where it's like they really feel like they're in that scene. The other thing is, I'd say that's a little bit rough in terms of selection around that. For a lot of times for these, what I'll do is I'll hit the quick selection tool, which is, if you imagine this is Photoshop, it's underneath your tool palette, under the one that looks like a magic wand. It's like the third or fourth tool down. And it does a really good job of sort of finding the edge of stuff like this and selecting around it. Sometimes if you try and kind of do it by hand, do it on your own, or do it with that magic wand tool, you get kind of a little bit of an uneven edge. But yeah, cool, bizarre, very bizarre. And this sand background is kind of cool too. It has a little bit of a kind of, I don't want to say like smudgy, because I feel like that's has a negative connotation. Like a little bit of like a slightly blurred, kind of a dreamy quality to it. Sort of thinking like here, especially like everything's just like a little soft down there. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe like if this was soft and like these guys are kind of soft, it's more just kind of like just a little bit of a hard edge on that. So in terms of surrealism, holy crap, that's weird. Wow. Alright. Nice job, you guys. You all have very strange imaginations. So to pose, excuse me, the word that I'd like you to post beneath the links in response to this, the links to your video critique, I would like you to post bag of hammers. I don't know, just whatever, just what popped out of my mouth. Bag of hammers. So interpret that however you want to. Certainly not a comment on anyone in the class at all. Literally, I looked in through the open doorway to the next room and saw a box with hammers in it. And box of hammers is not an expression, so I went with bag of hammers. Anyway, I might be getting a little bit too into it, but yeah, excellent job, you guys. And yeah, we'll see you for the next week for the big final. Ooh, scary. Not really.